All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. Today is Friday, June 13th, Friday the 13th, 2025. We get together most weekday mornings at 8 o'clock Central. We will not have a training on Monday. Better than that, we're going to be with most of you in person. Most of you all of you that qualified from your May production have been invited to join us in Punta Cana for a 3 day weekend. So I look forward to seeing many of you there that are arriving this evening or tomorrow. You should have all your travel arrangements. Each month, we like to have an incentive trip to reward those of you that are producing and earning adult income. So, again, we'll see you in Punta Cana either this evening or tomorrow. We'll resume daily trainings on Tuesday of next week. But we have a whole lot of good information to cover today, so why don't we focus on that? We're going to take yet another deep dive into understanding the role of the grant coordinator slash reseller. So, first of all, those two things are the same, just different terms. If you go to 509pacific.org, as is shared here, you can become a grant coordinator slash reseller. It's free. There's no contract to sign, there's no risk, there's no obligations. We email you a packet, and that packet gets you open for business within minutes. It's a great way to help people and earn an adult income. Today's discussion, though, isn't about trying to recruit you to be a grant coordinator or a reseller, but instead, our focus is going to be understanding that role. So, rather you're already on board, let's maybe clarify your job description a little better, or if you're considering it, this will help you decide, do you want to earn an adult income as a reseller? First of all, let's talk about prospecting. So often, many of you, most of you are very, very smart, very, very successful, but frankly, you often make it way too complicated. So you'll go out and you'll prospect, right? Because any of you that have a sales background, you think, well, I've got to go qualify people, right? And so that is the opposite of our grant approach. We do not need to go filter people out. So instead, there's really just two questions that you need to ask. The first one is to the prospect, from you to the prospect. Are you looking for funding to start or grow a business? Don't get distracted with what they want the money for, how much money, when they need it by. People will talk, talk, talk. The broker the person is, the more spent time they'll spend talking to you. Protect your time, ask the question. It is a binary question, it's a yes or no. Are you looking for funding to start or grow a business? If they say no, shake their hand or say, have a great day, move on. If they say yes, then we go to the second question. Oh, great. May I ask, do you currently have a fundable business? Now, this isn't a binary response because most people don't know what you know. We have 626, damn near a record of you on here today. Take folks like Jeff Walter. Jeff Walter knows the formula for funding, right? All of you should know it. That's what we teach, it's what we preach, it's what we do. You have to have a fundable business if you want business funding. Most of these folks do not have a fundable business, which is great for you because now you can help them. But also, most of them don't even know what that means. But you have the toolkit to be able to evaluate them, and that is in that free packet that came to you after you signed up as a grant coordinator. So these are the two prospecting questions. I bring this up not because it's very complicated or all that inspirational, but many of you make it too complicated. You'll reach out to us and you want to give us some big dialogue about this prospect. As long as they're looking for funding and they currently don't have a fundable business, then you need to enroll them in the Express Shelf Corp program because you can't get business funding if you don't have a fundable business. Don't get bogged down with a million different variables that don't matter at that point in time. Now, I'm not saying it won't matter later. In fact, it will. But in the beginning, from your role, because that's what we're doing, is we want to clarify your role. So don't make it too complicated. Any questions, comments, concerns anyone has on that point before we move forward? you can type your response into the Q&A. It's like a chat box of Zoom. Okay, I think we're all on the same page. Makes sense. And that's what you're going to hear kind of throughout the training today is keep it simple. I know you're smart. I know you're motivated, but the more you talk, the less money you're going to make. The more you talk, the less clients you're going to have enroll. We need to understand the role of the grant coordinator slash reseller, and that's what we're going to establish today. But it starts with prospecting. Now you know how to prospect. Let's move forward. And that was the point I made. Nothing else matters. Don't get distracted. All right. So we need to be crystal clear on the two phases. And we've had other trainings on it, but I'm going to pretend that you weren't on any of those other trainings. So we're going to clarify that there are two phases to the capital raise process, and you're only involved with one of the two. Now you're paid for both, but you're only involved with one of the two. And the sooner that you accept that, the more successful you'll be because it simplifies your world. Let's use a quick analogy before we look more at the screen. Think about the last time that you went to your primary care physician. This is probably true for any doctor, but we'll use a PCP example. So you have an appointment or it's a walk-in, doesn't matter, but you're there and then you go back to the room. There's usually going to be a nurse or some sort of nurse's assistant that's going to do the intake. Going to check your vitals, ask about your medications, maybe ask about your symptoms. But if you were to ask that nurse, hey, Nurse Paris, what do you think my diagnosis is? Or if you don't put it so technical, what do you think I've got, Nurse Paris? What's going to typically happen is that nurse is going to say, whoa, 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 that's not my role. You're going to have to ask the doctor. My role is to get your information here. So my point is, in many areas of business, healthcare or otherwise, there's different roles, right? Your role as a reseller grant coordinator is simply to sell the shelf corporation. We have a different group of people, which we call our financial advisors, that works with them subsequently. So with that being said, let's look at the two phases. So the first phase, which is your phase, the only part you're involved with, you're paid for both, but the only part you're involved with is to help them determine if one of these express shelf corps will help them. Because we don't want to sell anything to anyone that won't that's not a good fit. And with the grant, they're frankly getting it for free. They're just paying the processing fee, which we'll talk about money in a minute. So keep in mind, your role is not to be the nurse that starts diagnosing the clients. Your job is not to talk to them about, well, based upon what you've told me, I think this is the type of funding you'll get, and this is the interest rate, and here are other parameters. That's not your role. Now, you may have the knowledge in the background, but in our model, we have funding advisors that take care of number two. That's not what you do. If you want to become a funding advisor, come to our training and we'll get you set up. But otherwise, you are phase one. And once you accept that, it makes your job so much easier. Now, some of you would say, well, no, they're going to have a lot of questions. And if I can't answer those, I look like an asshole. But that's not the case. You have a role, right? You don't think less of that nurse because that nurse won't diagnose if you have syphilis or some sort of other STD. The nurse has a role. You have a role. You go to a car dealership, you talk to the salesman at the car dealership, and they help you pick the right car, but they do not talk about finance. They do not talk about finance. The finance department does. So there's different people involved with phase one and phase two. You're involved with phase one, not phase two. If you want to come in and get trained for phase two, that's fine. But otherwise, if you're not certified through us in this model, we don't want you dealing with number two. It overcomplicates it and it increases the risk that you'll set some sort of unexpected or unrealistic or untrue expectations that now we have a client that's angry. Most of the issues we've had with client satisfaction in the past is people didn't stay in their role and they created unrealistic expectations. We don't want to do that. So let's move on. So you are trained, you're supported, and you are compensated based upon phase one, which is kind of a reiteration of what I've said. So, how do you make money? How do you make money as a reseller? It's crazy simple. Number one, you can mark up the processing fee if you want. Do you have to? No. But if you want to mark up the processing fee that they pay for the Shelf Corp, then any of the markup is yours, 100% to keep. So that's number one, right? Because we're going to send you an editable version of the flyer, of the comparison sheet, and the agreement once you fill this out, and you're going to change the pricing if you want to whatever you want. Anything above the baseline is your profit. Crystal clear, right? Okay, next. You are paid 5% of the client's capital raise. Now, we do need to have you in the RMP so the system calculates it. We got the incentive where you can get the RMP for free. We've had other trainings about RMP, but that stands for Reseller Marketing Package. That includes the landing page, the drip marketing, the e-contract. That's not my goal today. If you're not familiar with it, I'll show you where to get access to training for it. But you're paid based upon what you choose up front, and then you're paid based upon 5% of each referred client's capital raise on the back end. But all we are going to do is train and support you to sell this. Then our finance team is going to work with them on phase two. If you want to be on the finance team, we need to get you scheduled, come in to the new training center, and we'll get you trained and certified to do that. Otherwise, your role is phase one. Phase one. All right, so with that being said, if this is what you are trained and supported in, what are you not trained and supported in? Well, you're not trained and supported in phase two unless you come into our in-person certification. Why? You might say, well, why? I want to know everything, right? If I know everything, I can do a better job. You got to remember what our funding advisors' backgrounds are. All of them worked at the SBA. So the best way to get you up to speed to be a funding advisor is go get a job for at least 2 years with the SBA. Most of them have MBAs. Most of them are either attorneys or at least paralegals. So it's impossible for you to think that we can get everyone up to speed on everything you would need to know through these little snippets in the morning. But it's very, very realistic that you can be very competent, very confident, and make a shitload of money selling Shelf Corps. So yes, the client will get funding, but that's not your wheelhouse. It's not your role. If you want to be involved with that, we either need to go do the organic way, work for a lender or work for the SBA for at least 2 years, get your MBA, get your law degree, or at least paralegal graduate certificate, or at least come in for the one-day certification. Claude's asking what's the cost for the certification. There's no cost to come in for the certification, but you got to earn it. You got to earn it. Okay, so why are you not a funding coordinator? Why are you a reseller or grant coordinator or reseller? It's because that's what we're training you on. We want to keep it simple. Otherwise, you'd have to know a lot more. And it's much more complicated. So I'm not saying it's too complicated for you, but selling a Shelf Corp is just black and white. They pay you the amount that you ask them to pay, and then they get exactly what the contract says. There's no room for error, right? Everything's in writing, it's very clear. But when we get into the financing phase, there's a lot more variables because clients want different amounts of money, they have different uses of funds, they have different starting points, they have different issues and considerations. So it's just much more variable for the second phase. And to solve those problems, you need to have a deeper breadth of education, knowledge, and experience. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's move on. For those of you that have gone to law school or at least have a paralegal certificate, you know that there are 3 types of truth. People like to think everything is a yes or no, a true or false. But sophisticated people know that that's not true. There's three types, three. Let's even put it numerically. Three types of truth. So there's the absolute truth. Are you and I on a live Zoom, assuming you're not listening to the recording, but are you and I on a live Zoom right now? Absolutely. There's no question about it. It's unquestionable. You and I are on the Zoom right now. Great. Let's do the second. You and I are in Punta Cana right now. We're not. You may be. I'm not. I'm still at the corporate office. I don't fly out until this evening. So that's a falsehood. Clear. It's not true. Might be partially true, but as stated, it's not. But here's what happens in business is often there are conditional truths. What you might have heard as if-then statements. If this, then that is true. But if not, then it's not true. So it's not wordsmanship or playing games. It's real life. A lot of people are simple. You're not simple, but a lot of people are simple, so they only think things fall into one of two categories. But when we get into funding, there's a lot of conditional truths. This is where we have seen client dissatisfaction come from, is we've had and I don't mean this negatively, but we've had unqualified people get out of their lane, start giving advice on funding, and then they didn't properly state the conditions for the truthhood to be accurate. So we just want to avoid that. We do want to have client satisfaction, 100% client satisfaction, and that starts with you. If you stay in your lane, you can help a lot of people. You can make a ton of money. We've done illustrations on that. Nothing has changed, but your role is to sell the Shelf Corp, not to be a funding advisor. All right, now the question becomes, well, clients will ask those questions, right? Well, what the hell am I going to do when Miss Betty asks me some questions and I'm not able to answer? That's going to make me feel uncomfortable. That's going to make me sad. Well, it's just like, again, when you went into the doctor's office and if you start firing off questions about which STD you have to the nurse, he or she's not going to diagnose you. They know that's not their role. When you go to the car dealership to buy a car and you ask the salesman, what's my interest rate going to be? The salesman knows well enough to say, hey, I don't know. We've got a finance team and they're going to work with you on that. So that's important, but that's not his or her role. So if you do have a client that starts getting into questions about funding, because all you're selling is the Shelf Corp. But of course, I know we want to use the Shelf Corp to get funding, and that's part of the process. We guarantee a minimum 100,000. But regardless, there's only a few factual answers you should give. Otherwise, you need to punt them into someone that can answer that accurately. So first thing that you could say is if someone asks you a question that's beyond your scope, you would say, well, good question, Drake. Once you have a fundable business, one of our funding advisors will be working with you to accomplish your goals and answer those questions. There are different scenarios that they'll work with you on. So that is a question that will be determined once you have a fundable business. So do you have a fundable business currently? Because here's another analogy. Let's say that you and I want to build a house. What do you have to start with before anything else? Before you can start to build, well, we'll do our office, right? They're out here working on our office building today. What did we need first before anything else to start building our new office building or house? You have to have land, right? Because it can't float in the air. I guess you could build a boat, but ignoring that, you need land. Well, we had a big lot, so we had room for it. But you have to have land. So you're getting them the lot, and then we're going to help them build the house or the structure based upon their needs. So it'll be customized to them. Now, the Shelf Corp is going to come standardized. I think we all know that. It comes standardized with the business plan and the financials and everything set up for 100,000 capital raise. Does that mean we can only do 100,000? No. We call it blank check financing. We can work with them to raise as much as they want, but that customization, those alterations are going to be made during phase 2, not phase 1. Because if you don't have a fundable business, Phase two will never happen. If you don't have a piece of land, you're never going to build a house or an office building. It can't happen. All right, so the first way to overcome an issue if a prospect starts asking you about funding topics that's beyond your job description is to say, yeah, a good question. One of our funding advisors will be working with you, but first you need to have a fundable business or they're not going to talk to you. Funding advisors, myself and the others, we don't have time just to chat with people. That's not our role. Our role is to work with clients that have the land. They have the fundable business. Now we're working on getting that fundable business funded. Hopefully that makes sense. The second thing that you can absolutely say to them is, hey, when you go into phase two, it's a separate phase, right? Phase one is signing an agreement with you to buy the fundable shelf corp. That's how they enter into it. They sign a contract with you and they pay you whatever you want to charge them for a processing fee. Phase two has a separate agreement, and that separate agreement is with us, which we manage the second part of the process. But you certainly can tell them, hey, there's not going to be any upfront cost for the funding process for phase two. No upfront cost. But there is a performance fee of 10%. So now normally I wouldn't just start offering these topics if you're not responding to their question, because a good sales professional knows you don't create your own objections. So I'm not saying you hide anything from them, but if all you're doing is selling them this, then you don't have a responsibility to go into this because it's not your scope. But you certainly could let them know if they ask or you feel compelled, hey, just so you know, when you go into the funding process, you'll be working with one of our assigned funding advisors. There's no upfront cost for phase two, but there is a performance fee off the capital raised. Make sense? Okay. And then there's one other scenario here. One of the questions that you'll get is, well, how much money can I get? How much money, or what's my max money? They'll come up with all kinds of weird terms. Well, as long as they qualify, they can get as much as they want. So what do we know is fact? What's the absolute truth? The Shelf Corp is built for 100,000 capital raise. That's a fact. That would be the easiest path forward. But if they want more, they need more, that's fine. But those tweaks, those alterations, that will be addressed in phase two, not in phase one. Because phase one, they could come to you, Jay, and say, I need $20 million. You would still provide them the same solution. You have one solution. You're a one-trick pony. Either they have a fundable business or not. And if they don't, you offer them an express shelf corp. So there's only one type of express shelf corp. There's no window tinting. There's no upgrade of wheels. It is what it is. And that's what we will deliver on your behalf 100% of the time in about 7 days. Then we move into phase two, and then we can work with them on making any changes. But there is a contractual guarantee from us to them, which you have no liability for, to get at least $100,000. Okay, so if you don't advise on phase two, what do you say about phase one? So kind of reverse here. So the point here was, what happens if they start bombarding you with questions that's outside of your scope? There's really just 3 answers to give them, most of which it's, hey, one of our advisors will work with you once you're in phase two. But as far as phase one, I've had a few of you come, not very often, you'll come to me and say, well, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to describe phase one. I don't know how to describe an express shelf corp. Well, first of all, tell the truth. Don't tell anyone anything other than the truth. That sounds kind of obvious, but let's start with that. Let's not lie. Let's tell the truth. Second, you have a flyer and a comparison sheet, both of which are editable, that have been provided to you. That literally tells the story along with the agreement, because you have 3 things you receive: the flyer, and I'll show you. So let's click on this, which we call the packet. So this is off of 509 Pacific, but we send you editable versions of these items. So when we build an e-contract packet, like those of you that are using RMP, so you have a landing page, this is what's built into yours. So there's a flyer, and we've provided you that flyer. If you don't have that flyer, I'll show you where to request it, but it's free. So the flyer is editable, but it tells the story and it tells it accurately. So what should you know, or what should you say? Well, it starts with what's on the flyer. Any of this would be obviously good information to share. We also recommend that you do the comparison. Call this the 3E. We first educate them, then we evaluate them, and then we enroll them. Those are the 3 E's. This is what we use to evaluate. And we've had separate trainings, so I don't want to bog you down, but you have an editable version of this. And then, of course, then you have the actual agreement. So with that being said, if you don't know what to say, go back and read the flyer. Go back and read the comparison sheet. Well, you could even read the agreement. Wouldn't that be novel? But really, that's all you need to say. You don't need to know more than what's on those 3 documents in most cases. Now, let's say that you're like, well, no, like Jeff. Jeff is an all-star, and we're about to lose Jeff. Jeff, from my understanding, due to his conditions, won't be with us more than about a week. So, Jeff, you're in our thoughts and prayers. Thanks for being on the Zoom today. We're going to miss you, buddy. But with Jeff's point that he brought up is that if you want to educate more broadly, you can, and we have a curriculum for that. It's pre-developed, pre-designed. We've trained you on that before. It's available. You don't even have to teach it. You can play it for them. So yeah, if you want to step back and help these people have a broader scope of financial literacy, that's great. That's very consistent with our mission. And that's available. And we call that the 27 mistakes. So if you don't know where that is or how to access it, let us know. So that blends us down into our resources and contact information. So if you need support, text this line. Some of you still want to call it. It's not answered live. You'll get frustrated. This is a text line. That's why it says text. You can text 903-347-8042, and we'll do our best to get back with you very quickly. If you need to email, we've had people have trouble scheduling, shouldn't be. Now, there was a nationwide, maybe worldwide, I don't know, but there was at least a nationwide internet outage yesterday. And I don't know if you knew that or not. So services like Calendly was not working yesterday, not because we didn't pay our bills. I suppose not because Calendly didn't pay their bills. There was a national outage. So if you had trouble scheduling with us yesterday, it wasn't our fault. It wasn't your fault. It was just their service was down because of a bigger issue. But anyway, you can schedule on Calendly. If you want to become a grant coordinator, I've already shown you that. That's on 509 Pacific right here. If you feel like you became one but earlier, before June 1st, but you don't have the new packet, just go ahead and fill it out again. There's no money to pay, no contract to sign, and we'll send you the new packet that has these documents: the editable flyer, the editable comparison sheet, and then the editable agreement. You'll take our information off, put yours on, change pricing if you want. You're open for business. For individuals that's actually looking to participate. So if they want the free shelf Corp, they want the 100,000 plus, they want the free credit sweep, which we announced yesterday, great. So that's, again, at the top of 509, or that's what you as a reseller or grant coordinator offer. And then this is the point I really wanted to get to. So we do put our past trainings up on YouTube. So if you come back and say, well, I need to learn more about the 27 mistakes, great, that's on our YouTube channel. Or, hey, I need to know how to use this comparison sheet. I need training on that. Great. We did a specific training. It's posted up here. So the training library is on YouTube. No passwords necessary. All right, so with that being said, let me scroll up. Let me state one more time, no training on Monday. We're going to be together with our top producers. We look forward to seeing many of you in Punta Cana for a 3-day weekend. We'll be back on Tuesday, but let's dig through the questions that you all have. Paris asked how you would introduce yourself. Well, you're a reseller, and so you are you, and you have whatever business entity that you represent. You probably, Paris, have a logo, so you're putting your logo on the materials instead of ours, and so forth. So you are normally going to introduce yourself as a grant coordinator, but you could do it as you wish. But once you've established that, then what do we need to do? We need to go prospect. And prospecting is not based upon their money they need or industry. It's based upon how much are they looking for funding and do they currently have a fundable business? All right, so that was great for Paris. Drake says, if someone's in the dreaming phase, but they don't know what they want it to be. Well, that's great. That's great. So, Drake, think about the deliverables, and I'll go ahead and add that because it's really important, kind of falls into line where we're at. So, there are, and we've covered this before, everyone, there are 3 economic benefits from an express shelf corp. You need to know these. You need to know these. You need to know these if you don't. Number 1 is get a fundable business to access business funding 100K plus. So having a fundable business is a prerequisite for getting business funding. We kind of covered that, but that's only one of the 3. A lot of you get that, but some of you fall short on the others. What's next? Well, we transfer AR, accounts receivable, in the form of collateral. It's included, right? So you see it here on the page, and then it's also mentioned on the flyer here. It's also mentioned on the comparison sheet, and of course it's in the agreement. So it's fine to hold me accountable. It all matches. So the point is that the second economic benefit is that we can liquidate the free AR, accounts receivable, which is the collateral we're referring to turn into cash. That's a second economic benefit. And now I'm getting to Drake's question. The third is that when they buy an express shelf corp from you, what are they getting? And if you don't know crystal clear what they get, obviously look at the flyer, look at the comparison sheet, look at the agreement. But what it is includes, obviously, is a real business that's designed to earn income. It's a management consulting firm that's designed to operate. Like if you went and bought a Domino's pizza franchise, you wouldn't just buy it and say, oh, isn't that great, and leave the lights off and not sell pizzas. So these shelf corps are designed to start earning $100,000 per month in earned income. And how is that possible? It's a management consulting business. It's real. So those are the 3 economic benefits. So going back to Drake's question, well, what if someone doesn't know what they want to do? They can still participate. It's coming as a business in the box, and they'll be ready to start operating, offering services, making money in a week or 2. Hopefully that makes sense. But that doesn't prevent them from using the shelf corp for whatever else. You could have a management consulting firm that also does anything else, whatever other industries. It's not a mutually exclusive. Jay's bringing up the bad credit. So that's right. So yesterday, and you can go back and see past trainings, yesterday we announced that we're including the credit sweep for free in the shelf corp, and we're doing that for a limited time promotion, kind of see how it goes. That's for all enrollments between now, well, technically between June 1st and the close of day Monday, June 16th, because all of us will be returning from Punta Cana late Monday. We'll all be at our desk again Tuesday. So then everyone that has come in through the weekend, the 3-day weekend, that will include the free credit sweep. But we covered that on yesterday's training. So if you need more training on that, see yesterday's. Jeff, and again, I'm so sorry that we're going to lose you, but he texts that he must be simple. Jeff, I think you may be a little depressed, so let's keep your thoughts here off the radar. But again, we love you. We've enjoyed spending time with you, and I'm sorry that you're going to be leaving us next week. Okay, going to Joseph. Okay, Joseph asked about the credit sweep. So some of you that have ordered the RMP, the reseller marketing program, we've delayed a little bit rolling that out because we wanted to figure out, is this credit sweep going to remain a free element or was it just a limited time promotion? Right now, it's a limited time promotion. It's for enrollments from June 1st through close of day June 16th. That's why any of you become waiting saying, "Hey, where's my landing page? Where's all of that?" And we're giving those away through the promotion. But we wanted to kind of wait and see, is this free credit sweep going to stick with it? Or is it just a limited time promotion? Because we don't want to build everything for something that's no longer relevant. But we'll know by Tuesday, by the time we get back together Tuesday morning, 8 o'clock Central, we'll know if there's been enough results to justify keeping the credit sweep as a free benefit. So, no, nothing has been altered yet. We will know by Tuesday if that's the case. All right. Let's see here. Corinthian gives me a thumbs up. Thanks, Corinthian. Let's see. Jarnell asked, how will they earn 100,000 a month? Fair question. So going back to the 3 economic benefits, here we go. So what I'm saying, Jarnell, is that they're buying a business in a box. Let's say, Jarnell, that you saw a gas station for sale and you went and bought it. Would it surprise you that you could sell gas and sell convenience store items and make money? Well, no, because that's what it's designed to do. That's what it does. Well, maybe that's what you're missing, Jarnell. It's probably my fault, not yours. We're actually providing them a management consulting business that's designed to make money. So we provide them the business plan to do that, the financial projections, all of that, of course, is necessary to use it for funding, but also we provide them the implementation, training, and support. It's a real business, Jarnell. It's not a 3-ring binder. It's huge. It's huge. And we're giving that damn thing away because of the grant. All right, Jay's asking a question, and again, Jay is missing part. It's my fault, Jay, not yours. What I'm saying is that there's 2 phases, isn't there? Phase 1 is very predictable and clear. They contract with you. They pay you. You get the money up front. You upload that signed agreement, which we've had separate trainings on implementation processes. But to answer Jay's question now, you upload that agreement, you send us our part of the processing fee, and then in about 7 days, we will deliver to them their shelf corp with all the documents. We'll copy you on it. We'll do that 100% of the time. I don't think there's any risk of us not doing that. Then we move into phase 2. And what did I say? Phase 2 has variability based on what they want to do. So, Jay, you've fallen into the trap of thinking, oh, there's just one answer to these questions. There's conditional truths. How much money do they want? What are they going to use it for? And so forth. Okay, and then Jay's got a follow-up question about collateral. Well, collateral, we include some collateral, and that's mentioned again here on the flyer. It's included on the comparison sheets, included in the agreement. And then, of course, the clients normally have collateral. And then when you add those 2 together, that's often enough. Is it enough or is it not enough? Well, it depends, right? It comes back to conditional truth, Jay. What are they buying? How much money do they need? How much collateral do they have? And then how much do we need, depending on the type of funding. So again, I'm not trying to be dismissive, but you're missing the point. There's lots of variability. There's not just simple yes or no answers when we're in the funding phase. And that's why we're not asking you to know all that. Because if you wanted to know that, it's going to require a significant amount of training and effort. I can't train you everything. When I worked at the SBA alone, I went to 6 or 7 national conferences, and each one was 1 to 3 days. I don't know how for Jay and everyone else to train you everything that our funding advisors knows in 30-minute Zooms. That's unrealistic. So focus on what you do, and we'll take care of the rest, and you'll be paid off of both. All right. Yeah, Jeff's having a hard time. Again, we're praying for you, Jeff. Let's see. Jay brings up a good point. In terms of when we fund the Shelf Corp, sure, they could use that money in that new entity, or they could even transfer it to another entity. Depending upon what they're wanting to do, we'll set it up and help them facilitate, so that won't be a problem. Let's see. Joseph's mentioning my stage 4 cancer, and thanks for that. Yeah, so I'm on morphine 24 hours a day, hydrocodone 24 hours a day, and tramadol 24 hours a day. So the good news is I'm able to be here and work with you about 16 hours a day. Shelly says, good morning, good morning. Last question, and we'll hang it up. Corey asks, can we bring clients with a business for funding? Absolutely. So thank you, Corey, for closing us on that question. So what Corey is asking is, well, if he asks the prospecting question, are you looking for funding to start or grow a business? In this case, his prospect says, yes, great. Then Corey goes to question 2. Do you currently have a fundable business? And in Corey's scenario here, they say, yes. Great. What do we do? What do we do if they already have a fundable business? We're going to pivot. We're going to go right into funding. We're going to go right into funding. No, you don't need to go sell them a shelf corp just so you can make a buck. Don't do it. Do what's right for the client. We've had separate trainings on this, but we'll close on this. You go to 4weekfunding.com. This is the build option. So the shelf corp is they buy a business. The 4-week funding is where we help them build it. But here's the answer to Corey's question. Scroll down, and normally after we help someone build a business, we go to funding. What Corey's asking, can we go right to funding? Yes, and it's right here. So you literally go to 4weekfunding.com, go down, scroll down, as Caesar likes to say, the ocho, bring them right here, click on the app, no upfront cost. And this is the same as phase 2. So when we talk about phase 2, this is where we start phase 2. We get an app from them. The top half is business information, bottom is business owner. If they don't have anything, it's optional. See, the little star means it's required. So we do need everything about the business owner, but the business, if they have it, they can provide it if not. So this is what you do, Corey and everyone else. If you have someone that already has a fundable business, don't sell them something they don't need. Don't sell them a shelf corp. Take them to 4-week funding, go down to number 8, click that link, have them fill this out. You get paid the same 5 points. So you're paid on the back end the same. You're not paying anything on the front end because there is no front end. They have no upfront costs. They will pay 10% of the capital raise. And that, of course, matches with you getting half of it. All right. So again, in closing, no training on Monday. We will, Madison will be in the office. We'll have kind of a skeleton crew Monday because we're going to be with most of you, our top producers, in Punta Cana. So I look forward to seeing many of you in person. I'm going to ask respectfully if Troy, please do not wear your Speedos this trip. That was shocking. Needed therapy after that, but we'll see you in person if you qualified for the May incentive trip. If not, we'll be back Tuesday morning. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.